Hey, hello students, this is Tim and I wanted to make a video for, this is basically targeted at my programming classes, but it covers a lot of different concepts that I'll kind of all roll into one. It can be used in C, again it's specifically for my Linux scripting course, but you could use C, C++, C++, C Sharp. You could use Python to do some of this, but I want to show you why learning to take baby steps and then implementing those one at a time is important to you in the long run. And again, this is a video from 50,000 feet, shall we say, to cover some concepts. But I'm hoping that it intrigues you enough that you'll continue to explore on your own. So one of the things I do, a lot of you probably know that I used to teach security classes. I'm an online hacktivist, they call us, and I'm always searching for websites that have vulnerabilities and stuff in them. So that takes a lot of patience and takes a lot of resources. What I do in my particular instance is at my home, I have a 600 meg service. Yes, 600 meg, but that's not quite enough to do it and do it in a timely manner. So what I do is I lease servers overseas in different areas, and they're all Linux machines. But then what happens is I have to keep those updated. I have to run commands on them. So I'm going to show you how I use bash scripting a little bit, and I'm not going to give you exact specifics, but I'll show you a little bit of the data that's handled so you understand it a little bit better. So basically, I think many of you have probably seen a website called Shodan.io, and what Shodan.io does, and they did for years, was they collected data on the internet. They simply go out, for those of you that are network enthusiasts, they go out and they ping and they nmap different networks all around the world on a constant basis, and they figure out what systems and computers and operating systems are running. And one of the things they used to do, and it was pretty much free. Then they kind of went to $10 a month. $10 a month, it saved me a lot of time. I could just go in there and I could search for different IP addresses by country, and I could find out what the computers were running so that I could look for vulnerabilities. They have industrial control systems that you can look at. This is mainly SCADA. That's what controls power and electric and stuff like that. They have PLCs, which is used in industrial environments, and then they have distributed control systems. So everything that's been scanned online, they stay really current. They have old records, probably back 10, 15 years. Of course, the internet's always changing, so the older files aren't good for you. Well, what they eventually did was they gave it away for free. Then they started charging $10 a month, and that was economical. But what they recently did in the last year or so is they gone to an enterprise solution, and what that means is they sell it to big companies. All right, so the little guys like us, we don't really have access to it. And again, they got databases, they got cameras, video games, of all the different services that are available out there on the internet on a day-by-day basis. So they got a bunch of cool stuff. They got default passwords where people have improperly installed routers. That's why you always want to change the password on your system, username and password. So any hacker that's worth their weight in salt is going to know this resource. But again, they've made it so it's very, very expensive, and it's several $100s a month now to use it. So what I decided to do is I decided to make my own Shodan-based system just for myself. And to do that, I leased 4 servers overseas, and then I used several Raspberry Pis at my home because I don't necessarily need a lot of speed when I do this. The overseas server does that for me, but when I'm at home, I'm processing data. So, and then again, what happened was it took a lot of time to manage these. So what I did was I took all the commands that I use on my servers on a regular basis, and I just did a history on them and how to update them. Like if I get a new server, everything that I did, all in order. Now, again, these are a single command line. And I could manually go through and I could do that, but it's very, very time consuming. So what I did was I copied and pasted these in different ways, and I create scripts. And I could put 20 of these different commands in a script and then execute all those commands in order, and then it would collect the data for me, and it would save the data to a file. And then what I can do is I can either email that out of the server, or I can FTP it to my home server, which is what I normally do. Again, letting the overseas, my overseas servers, all of them have 1 gig, and I pay between $10 and $30 a month for each of those services. But what's kind of cool about it is if you think about how much it costs to run a computer in electricity and buying the computer and maintaining the computer and everything, it's actually a lot less expensive in the long run, and their equipment's a lot better than what you can buy commercially. So in my opinion, it's if you're going to do this type of work, it's best to lease the servers. So again, I have all the different commands that I run on a server to set it up and to implement these different scripts that I run. I collected all the command lines, and then depending on what I'm doing for that particular application, like let's say I want to upgrade, I want to update a particular distribution of Linux, I can write a little script, and then I can FTP that into the server, and then use PuTTY, which is a popular communication program right here, and I can go ahead and I can go into that particular server and execute the command and get the computer on the remote computer to do all the work for me and then email the file to me. So as you can see here, I use several different things. Right here's Nmap. That's one of the popular tools that we use in reconnaissance and internet security. This particular one here does a scan of a file that I'll set up by IP address, and it'll go out and it'll scan that particular computer for vulnerabilities that are known in the industry. All right, I can scan by ports. All right, and again, depending on what type of a exploit I'm looking for, there's all different types of things that I can do running on the different servers. It just makes it a lot quicker to put all these commands, copy and paste them. Down here you can see that I was looking at Portugal, I looked at Brazil, and I can pick out blocks of IP addresses according to the country or according to the geographic region. And then what I basically do in the background with all that, eventually I'll turn around. Zmap is it's even faster than Nmap. It's kind of similar. You can look up all these terms on the internet, but Zmap is even faster than Nmap. So I'll go out, I'll look for active IP addresses, and then I'll use a tool like VoltScan or MassScan, which are two tools you can find on the internet. Down here you can see where I was doing MassScan, and I'm looking at all the different ports here, looking for services, and then I just save that to a file. Then what I do is I take that file, which is up here, and obviously one of the countries that I love investigating is Russia. So I can go out and I can scan Russia, and I get those ports and IP addresses sent back to me, and I know what's running on the different ports, and that tells me what services are available in Russia and currently active on the internet. So from there, I'll write scripts to pick all this off and then write subscripts. I know it sounds pretty complicated, but I'm hoping to excite you that, yeah, once you learn some basic commands, you can make some things happen. That's what's cool about all this. And a lot of people don't think that Bash is very powerful, but it's perfect for this type of work to do this. We'll go in here to some other results that I have from other countries that I collected last summer. I was offline for a few months, but let's look at like a country like Guam. Not a lot that's interesting there, but again, it'll tell me what services and ports are running on each of these computers, 23. So what I can do from here is I can grep and awk this, and I can actually turn this around and turn that into a usable file for me. And then we'll go up to the folder here, and to show you what an actual script would look like that I might use for this. Here's my MassScan script, so I'd point it to that particular file where I know that I have existing active servers in a particular country, and we'll wait for this to come up here. So some of you might recognize some of these commands here. I know it's just a beginning class. Here's my port list that I'm using MassScan on and collecting information on different servers. I think in here we use some colors. For those of you that remember the colors exercise, right here it is. We got another colors exercise here. This allows me to red flag a unit. So I just wanted to show you the possibilities. Here we're opening a file. Here we're grepping some data. So everything that I have you do in this class is very, very practical. It's just what level you want to take it to. Now, if you want to be a good programmer, you have to learn how to think and do these kind of things. I mean, I can show you all day long basic programming tips and make you aware of basic technologies that are out there and teach you about programming, but the really, really good programmers have to look at other people's code, and they have to learn how to analyze it, and every day you have to keep doing it and doing it and doing it if you want to do programming and make some money. So anyways, I hope this helps you all out a little bit. I know it's flying at 50,000 feet, but it gives you this, there's a lot of things you can do with scripting and programming, so not just writing a simple program that takes an input and gives you a calculation. So hang in there. It takes some time to learn this stuff, but hang in there and make it happen. Good luck, folks.